Warning, this video may contain spoilers. Hello, how's it going? My name is Adam. Welcome to A Duda Reviews. It's an entertainment channel for entertainment purposes. I cover TV, movies, music, and all that beautiful stuff. And if you like the sound of that, then maybe consider liking and subscribing.
Wandavision, 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 Wandavision.
The MCU is finally back, this time in television form. It's been about a year and a half, maybe 2 years since the last slice of Marvel pie, that being Spider-Man Far From Home. So basically, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about these two episodes and the whole thing because you've probably already watched 100 videos on it. And to be honest with you, there's not a massive amount to go on because basically, these two episodes are basically sitcoms and they've just sort of formulated a sitcom and they've sprinkled a little bit of mystery and intrigue into those sitcoms. So it's sort of like just sort of reviewing a sitcom almost, because the first episode is set in the 1950s era, I believe, and it's supposed to emulate the Dick Van Dyke Show, a show I've never actually seen, but I'm aware of Dick Van Dyke because I know he was in Mary Poppins. Wanda and Vision are a married couple living in a suburban town, in a suburban neighborhood, and they have a nosy neighbor come round and they have a boss that he has to impress. He comes over for dinner and the dinner goes all awry and goes all over the place, and it's sort of those sort of situational comedies that you used to get in those very old comedies. The comedy itself isn't actually funny, but the fact that it's Wanda and Vision in those situations sort of makes it a little bit funny, as in funny weird. The whole show is pretty weird because it has this underlying intrigue to it and you don't really know what's going on. Now, you can get some clues from the comics and you can get some clues from maybe some previous Marvel stuff that Wanda is in fact making this whole world an illusion, this whole sitcom world up herself through her mind. And I also believe that there are people trying to infiltrate that world and save her from herself, essentially, I guess. Or there's also another big bad that we don't know of. There's been rumors going around that it's either Nightmare or Mephisto from the comics. Mephisto being like the devil in Marvel Comics world, and Nightmare being a Doctor Strange villain. And that would tie in to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which I believe Wanda is going on to be in after this series. The chemistry between Elizabetholsen and Paul Bettany, Wanda and Vision, is really good. It really does play up on screen. They do seem to act like a loving couple, and the comedy between them does sort of flow naturally. The supporting cast are really good, especially Kathryn Hahn, who plays the nosy neighbor. She seems to have a bit of a life of her own and a bit more energy and a bit more oomph than the actual other sort of cast members, who seem a little bit more to the sitcom formula. Whereas she does, but she has a little bit of something else going on. So I'm thinking that maybe there's more to her than meets the eye. There's been rumors about her being Agatha Harkness, who was some kind of witch in the comics. I never read that, so I can't profess to know anything about it. I was just a Spider-Man kid. I used to read my Spider-Man comics and that was pretty much it. The occasional X-Men. We also have an appearance from Deborah Jo Rupp, who I really love. She was in That 70s Show as the mum in That 70s Show, and I thought she was great in that. And she brings that energy and those sitcom chops to this program also. The show itself flows along nicely and it's all very sitcom-y, very 1950s, very twee, this, that, the other. He has to invite his boss over for dinner. The dinner goes all crazy. But the main sort of standout portion was when they're actually eating dinner and the boss starts choking on a piece of food. Deborah Jo Rupp's character, the wife of the boss, starts to say, "Stop it, stop it, stop it," and she keeps like repeating the phrase "stop it." And then at first it seems like she's talking to the husband, saying, "Stop being so silly, you know, you're not really actually choking." And then it actually occurs that she's actually speaking to Wanda, and Wanda is actually the one in control of this all, and she's the one who's actually sort of choking him basically, because it's her world. And she sort of snaps out of it and then asks Vision to help him. So Vision just phase shifts into his throat and then pulls a bit of food out, which is kind of gross when you think about it. But that's the first inkling that we get that all isn't as it seems. The second episode is based on the 60s sitcom Bewitched, and it has a bit of a more lively comedic vibe to this one. It's a bit funnier than the first one. The situation is a bit funnier in this one. They have to put on a talent show for the town, all in aid of the children. Now the children keeps getting brought into this sort of almost subliminally, sort of like the crowd chant it like a mantra, do it for the children kind of thing. And at the end of this episode, Wanda becomes pregnant magically. And it's all a bit like it was spoken into existence by the supporting characters. And there's something really weird going on there. And in the comics, she had children called Wiccan and Speed, and there was a whole like comic book series about it. Apparently, I never read it either, but apparently she goes mad and like destroys all the mutants and stops them having powers and this, that, the other. But she becomes pregnant magically. She turns around and she's pregnant, and then she and Vision seem extremely happy about this. They hear a noise outside. They go outside and they see this like beekeeper guy dressed in a beekeeper suit with bees all around him. Looks like bees anyway, and he's coming out of the sewer. And he sort of turns and looks at her, and Wanda just says no, and then fucking rewinds the whole thing and goes back to the bit where they're pregnant, but she skips apart the bit with the noise. So she's really in control of this world, and the people trying to infiltrate it are a group known as SWORD. Now, it may be not just SWORD alone, there may be some other people trying to infiltrate it, like bad guys, but SWORD are the good guys. They're basically an intergalactic version of S.H.I.E.L.D., the Homeland Intervention, whatever, where they protect the Earth from incoming invasions. But SWORD is the space version of that. So really, there's not a huge amount to go on with these two episodes, because it's just basically, there are a couple of sitcoms with some really weird, like little inklings in it. There's some advertisements put throughout the episodes as well. One was a toaster that was like a futuristic toaster apparently, but it was made by Stark Industries, and another was a watch that was made by Hydra. So these are sort of subconscious things in Wanda's mind that have really sort of traumatized her in the past. There's also a scene with the radio. The radio is playing just normal music. All of a sudden you suddenly hear a voice coming through, Wanda, who's doing this to you? Wanda, who's doing this to you? And the woman she's talking to, the glass smashes in her hand and she gets blood red showing in a black and white world. So it sort of like breaks through into this sort of Pleasantville thing, if you've ever seen that film. I did enjoy both the episodes. They were very good. They were very well acted. They had the comedic timing down and everything like that. They had the old sitcom formula spot on. It was like so like watching one of those old sitcoms. But kind of that was basically what you were watching. It was just a couple of old sitcoms with some Marvel sprinkled in. It's a very slow burn, but I am definitely on board for the ride. I think it's definitely going to pay off because it's Marvel, and I just like seeing something different. I like the weirdness. I like the different angle they're coming from. People were probably maybe expecting it to be full-on Marvel action straight away, like as per, but the fact that they're coming from a different genre, and the way that Marvel can do that now, they can just like hop from genre to genre and it still be successful and it still work, is something that I think has a lot to do with Kevin Feige and obviously the team behind the whole thing. I think they're just so good and talented at what they do. I really want to see where this is going. I know there's a hell of a lot more to it than meets the eye, but we shall see. At the end of the second episode, they transition nicely from black and white into color, going into the 70s. That will be the next episode. I believe it's based on the Brady Bunch. So that's, I'm really looking forward to seeing. And I'm just really looking forward to seeing the like 90s stuff too, because I love me some 90s, because I'm a child of the 90s. I grew up in the 90s. So the Roseanne type of show, that sort of thing, I'm really looking forward to. And I'm really looking forward to the actual reveal of what the hell is going on in this, because at the minute, I don't really have a clue. I only have like little snippets here and there based on what other people have said about the comics and this sort of thing, but I'm definitely on board and I really did enjoy it and I can't wait for the next one. What did you think about Wandavision? Did you enjoy it, or are you on the side of it wasn't really for you? I can understand why you may say that, but all I can say is I would give it a bit more time and maybe give it a bit more episodes before you make your final decision on the series. Because the way I see these shows nowadays, they're basically movies just sliced up. So they've sliced a movie up and it's sort of like you're getting little bits of the movie. I think maybe this show could have benefited from possibly being a full binge-worthy show, so you could just watch it all in one, maybe. But the weekly format does give you time to think about it, mull it over and talk about it a lot longer, so I can understand where they're coming from that point of view too. So yeah, let me know what you think. Did you like it? Did you hate it? I love you very much. God bless. Goodbye.